Welcome to the PTE Professionals Academy. I'm Agar Punjab. Online and offline coaching, PTE exam booking and official mocks.
400. You don't have to be on Professor Smith's course to attend this lecture. 401. The library will be closed for 3 days over the bank holiday weekend. 402. I think we should get together over the weekend to discuss this assignment. 403. There's an hourly bus service from the campus into town. 404. This is the 3rd time you've asked for an extension on this project. 405. They say Professor Jones's lectures are always interesting and funny. 406. Being a student representative on the union really cuts into my study time. 407. I've got a tutorial in an hour and I haven't had any time to prepare for it. Practice test plus. 408. Factors such as cost and function influence the design of a bridge. 409. It's important that humans dispose of their waste in appropriate ways. 410. If you are unable to complete the task in time, please notify me by email. 411. The financial report for the last quarter will be available this afternoon. 412. Extra seminars will be scheduled to assist you with revision. 413. Please switch off all electronic devices when you are attending a conference session. 414. It is important that you work as a team on this project. 415. The study shows that people's mood can be affected by news and weather reports. 416. Detailed analysis of population growth has revealed some alarming predictions. 417. Please note that the college laboratories will be closed for cleaning next week. 418. Students who wish to apply for an extension should approach their tutors. 419. The research looked at neighborhood cooperative schemes such as community gardens. 420. Visual aids can make presentations clearer and more interesting. 421. Economy of scale is the increase in efficiency that occurs when more goods are produced. 422. The university is working towards being more environmentally sustainable. 423. Unlike applied arts, fine arts do not serve a practical function. 424. Modern poetry often tests the conventions of language and rhythm. 425. The law library is closed on Sundays and public holidays. 426. There are no places left in the morning tutorial. 427. The conference is predicted to draw greater numbers than last year. 428. This module develops our understanding of the theory behind advertising campaigns. 429. Computer software has changed a lot in. 430. Exam results will be available next week from the course office. 431. The most modern agricultural equipment is now extremely expensive. 432. The number of students registering for postgraduate research has risen. 433. This semester we plan to specialize in educational psychology. 434. The new drug will be tested in North America. 435. Books which are overdue will incur a daily fine. 436. Distance learning has become far more popular these days. 437. You need to write a proposal for your research. 438. Studies suggest there may be a correlation between educational achievement and family size. 439. Tomorrow's lunchtime seminar on nuclear engineering has been postponed. 440. During that period, heavy industry grew rapidly in the north of the country. 441. Students must hand in their assignments by Friday. 442. Most students on last year's course did well in this module. 443. Tuesday's lecture on social psychology will now take place in the Central Hall. 444. Anyone who has a problem with their accommodation should speak to the welfare officer. 445. The fertile plains in the east of the region provide excellent land for farming. 446. Opposition to the government's tax policies was widespread across business sectors. 447. Students with queries about this term's timetables must speak to their tutor immediately. YouTube.com. 448. We are warning the clients that the rates are increasing. 449. Much of his research objectives are driven by his national curiosity and instincts. 450. The fire left the area almost completely devoid of vegetation. The PTE Professionals Academy Amargar Hunjab. 451. I will now demonstrate how the reaction can be arrested by adding a dilute acid. 452. The initial results are intriguing, however, statistically speaking they are insignificant. 453. The opposition has so far been unresponsive to our proposal. 454. I believe the children should read aloud more. 455. The majority of the hardware we are using was built for a customer. 456. Of course, you can also choose to have your grades emailed to you. 457. Does the professor keep regular office hours? 458. I will check again, but I am pretty sure we are supposed to read Chapter 2. 459. I think the university's main campus is closed. 460. If your parents come to visit you this semester, where will they stay? The PTE Professionals Academy Amargar Hunjab. 461. When I was in school, I had many of the same problem you do now. 462. I thought the midterm exam was only worth half of our course grade. 463. Many of the most popular courses are available online. Official guide. 464. Professor Smith will be late for today's lecture. 465. The circulation desk is located on the ground floor. 466. Tutorials are held for 2 hours, every Thursday, during semester. 467. International students can get help with locating housing near the university. 468. The student welfare officer can help with questions about exam techniques. 469. Most students were not able to attend Professor Green's seminar. 470. Some of the references in the essay were old and out of date. 471. We will divide the class into 3 discussion groups. 472. Every student in the class passed the exam without trouble. 473. There is more detail in the table on page 5. 474. You can get to the college by bus, train or car. 475. We should divide the assignment into 3 parts and work together. 476. Next week's tutorial, on Tuesday, has been cancelled. 477. I'm going to attend the briefing for students. 478. The chemistry exam results were posted on the website yesterday. 479. I need a short extension in order to finish the assignment. 480. To be graded distinction, a score of at least 80% is needed. 481. The key points were contained in the summary on pages 3 to 20. 482. Before you start your essays, you should revise the issues we discussed today. 483. All of these historical sources should be referred to in the project. 484. I thought the last two chapters were the hardest to understand. 485. The resources are provided as links on the home page. 486. Semester 1 ends the last week in November. 487. Please hand in your assignment before 3 o'clock. 488. Always underline the available time in an exam and note any compulsory sections. 489. First skim the exam paper, then read it carefully. 490. The key to effective study is being organized. 491. Add a representative of the student council. Attendance at all meetings is compulsory. 492. Dr. Brown's office has moved to level 2. 493. The economics faculty building is located on City Road. 494. The course outline can be obtained from Professor Hill's assistant. 495. The diagram shows the 4 main causes of this problem. 496. Let's meet after class to discuss these issues in more detail. 497. All students are required to submit a summary of their findings tomorrow. 498. We will need the equipment in the main lab for this experiment. 499. The results were not what we expected, so we conducted the experiment again. 500. We've decided to ask you to write 4 short pieces of written coursework this year. 501. A lot of agriculture workers came to the East End to look for alternative work. 502. A periodical is a publication that is issued regularly. 503. During the next few centuries, London became one of the most powerful and prosperous cities in Europe. 504. Essays should be typed with double spaces on the white paper. 505. Fees are heavily discounted and bursaries are available for delegates. 506. However, this method is problematic in terms of accuracy. 507. I'll start with a brief history of the district, and then focus on life in the first half of the 20th century. 508. In the last few weeks, we've been looking at various aspects of the social history of London. 509. In the past, students were required to complete 2 long written assignments. 510. It is quite clear that the rising prosperity does not make people feel more content. 511. Knives and forks should be placed next to the spoon on the edge of the table. 512. Many of the urban poor lived in extremely cramped condition. 513. Maybe it is time for me to make some changes. 514. New York City is famous for its ethnic diversity. 515. Overcrowding and poor sanitation affected the lives of the majority of the population. 516. Novelists have a major role to play in reflecting their time to their readers. 517. Parents should provide guidance and examples to children's values. 518. Students are held accountable for adhering to established community standards. 519. The brief outline takes us to the beginning of the 20th century. 520. The campus tour will help you get familiar with the teaching facilities. 521. The country suffered a series of the invasions by tribes of present-day Germany and Denmark. 522. The date of the invention of the first clock is disputed amongst historians. 523. The English word typhoon comes from the Chinese word big wind. 524. The medical center is located near the supermarket on North Street. 525. The mismatch between the intended and reported users of the instrument has become clear. 526. The professor will talk about the summary in the lecture. 527. The Romans lived in 410, at the beginning of the 5th century. 528. The seminar will be on the next week of the quarter. 529. The smoke from these contributed a great deal to the air pollution. 530. The technology they introduced meant that metal and leather goods were produced there for the first time. 531. The visiting professor is going to give a lecture on geology. 532. This article covers whom, where and when of the conflict. 533. This course will examine some of the profound ethical dilemmas. 534. This year, we are planning to use a different type of assessment on this module. 535. We are also going to be more prescriptive about what you focus on in your presentation. 536. We are not going to accept the assignment after the due date on Friday. 537. We would like people to write a case study, describing an organization they know. 538. A burglar broke into my house while I was away on a trip. 539. A connection between personality and blood type has not been scientifically proven. 540. A few trees fell down in our neighborhood during the storm last week. 541. A lot of people who have up until now been spending money having a good time now need to be more careful with their money. 542. After a long day at work, nothing is better than a good night's sleep. 543. After I got married, my French got better since I started speaking French with my wife. 544. After she lost her job, she couldn't afford to feed her dogs, so she gave them away. 545. All I want to do is sit here and drink this bottle of wine with you. 546. I'm sorry, but I have a previous appointment for tomorrow. 547. My house is in the northern part of the city. 548. Your way of looking at something depends on your situation. 549. She is related to him by marriage. 550. Tom doesn't watch TV except on Saturdays. 551. What will happen if there's power failure now? 552. I would never feed my dog commercial dog food. 553. She acknowledged that my statement was true. 554. How much time did you spend doing research before you started writing? 555. Can we really learn to speak a foreign language like a native? 556. There is an urgent need for people to help clean up the environment. 557. Do you have any tickets for today's performance? 558. Tom suggested another plan to the committee. 559. Tom said he would draw a map for her if necessary. 560. She doesn't pay much attention to how she dresses. 561. These flowers have a unique smell. 562. Mary felt happy when she learned the results of the election. 563. Are there any English magazines in this library? 564. I think it's very difficult for an Englishman to imitate a real American accent. 565. Spending time with your significant other should be high on your priority list. 566. I looked in my closet for something to wear, but I couldn't find anything appropriate for the occasion. 567. You seem to have lost sight of original objective. 568. I didn't mean to eavesdrop on your conversation. 569. Which air conditioner do you think is the most efficient? 570. Moving up the class ladder also brings unexpected costs. 571. What you don't know about writing is also a form of knowledge. 572. All experiments are fruitful if you don't have any preconceived notions about the results. 573. When I arrived, the big dog barked because it was lonely. 574. The loser of the race buys everybody else an ice cream. 575. Even though he drove with care, he failed the test. 576. The boys walked down the road and their parents waved from the house. 577. My friend gave me a lift because it was raining. 578. Various measures were proposed which would but have aggravated the situation. 579. To raise a child to adulthood requires your heart, energy, time, and wealth. 580. You're the best advertising executive this company has ever had. 581. He was thought to be merely amusing himself with politics. 582. He didn't seem surprised to see his alleged friend. 583. It must be nice to be able to come out here and see them anytime you want. 584. Everyone wanted to meet the artist and discuss the work they were interested in. 585. He was a master printer and an artist of the first order, the PTE Professionals Academy Amargar Punjab. 586. Americans eat more bananas than they eat any other fruit. 587. The hardness of the butter is proportional to the softness of the bread. 588. Due to lack of policies for proper water management, the irrigation system is too poor. 589. I look for the day when 1 billion planets are populated with 1 billion people each. 590. This subsequently formed the first plank of the labor platform. 591. Such is the nature of a blood bond. 592. The nepotism in which the Pope indulged is especially inexcusable. 593. She glanced nervously around the brush and back at him. 594. Immortals and deities didn't have the capacity to care for others. 595. The facts you have garnered with such infinite trouble invariably fail you at a pinch. 596. The solution when boiled deposits most of its oxide in the metahydrate form. 597. A remarkable shrine with fetish idols was also discovered. 598. She was trying hard to ignore the sensations in her body. 599. In spite of the lateness of the hour, the rest of us were far too hyper for sleep. 600. She stirred the ice cream until it was soft. 601. No crop responds more readily to careful husbandry and skillful cultivation. 602. It was an illogical thought, but her mind was beyond logic. 603. Alex captured her hand and forced her to drop the potatoes. 604. I'd better get my campaign manager cracking. 605. Don't get alarmed, but I've taken the liberty to be a tad candid with him. 606. I want to go for a meal then go to the opera. 607. Sarah prepared an elaborate breakfast in the morning. 608. An edition of his Latin lyrics appeared at Regensburg in 1884. 609. The chief industries are weaving, leather making, dyeing and working in iron and pottery. 610. In 1868 he became editor of the Dublin Review. 611. Our young people need education and more organized activities. 612. The electronic equipment had disappeared as well. 613. His stunt tonight was nothing short of jealousy. 614. Target could raise the price on the remaining copies because of the increased demand. 615. May the love of those around you help you through the days ahead. 616. The beast stands for evil and darkness. 617. Words can't express how saddened we are to hear of your loss. 618. Education is the key to unlocking the world, a passport to freedom. 619. The foundation of every state is the education of its youth. 620. I have enough acreage and cattle to absorb some of the loss. 621. Next he must abstain from all flesh diet except fish. 622. A slow smile worked its way across his face and into his eyes. 623. My biggest concern for the future is climate change. 624. Real wealth is never measured in money or possessions. 625. Conservation is survival of future generations. 626. Real love is not the stuff of pop songs. 627. If I were an animal I'd be a lion. 628. Plants have feelings too. 629. Junk food's popularity relies on marketing. 630. The world is a smaller place these days. 631. The more we communicate, the less we really say. 632. When I grow up, I will live in countryside. 633. Milk is often turned sour by a thunderstorm. 634. The cliff was being climbed by the boy. 635. Will those happy days ever be forgotten by you? 636. Wealth is desired by all and acquired by some. 637. His warnings were laughed at. 638. The child was made to drink the milk. 639. The topic for discussion is usually related to the topic for speech. 640. Do you know any family that needs help? 641. Does the government in your country help families that need help? 642. Sophia has been taking care of her sick brother for the last 6 months. 643. Her baby cannot fall asleep unless she stays in the room. 644. I don't know what to say. 645. When you're in London, write an email to me. 646. I'm going home whether you like it or not. 647. The beggar was laughed at by the children. 648. The thief was caught by the guard. 649. The enemy barracks were attacked by the soldiers. 650. All the milk was drunk by the cat. 651. Snuff is taken by the old man. 652. With a little effort anything can be accomplished. 653. Do you know how to ride a snowboard? 654. However, we've lost the match. 655. They worked hard for the test, however, they failed. 656. If they were older, they could go to the party. 657. Take your mobile with you in case you miss the bus. 658. He looks very fit in spite of his age. 659. They didn't go to the party, and neither did I. 660. Neither drinks nor food are allowed in this room. 661. Do you like tea or coffee? 662. Since he's lost his money, he couldn't go to the restaurant. 663. There are many theories linking this to global warming. 664. As if overnight, we seem to be plunged into the start of winter with low temperatures. 665. Weather is very Christmassy this year with some snowfalls and sharp morning frosts upon you already. 666. As you couldn't see the film, we'll tell you something about it. 667. She goes to the tennis club because she likes to play tennis. 668. He reads magazines but he doesn't like to read books. 669. I'm sorry, Peter is ill and I can't come either. 670. We can either go to the cinema or to the cafe. 671. She likes swimming, even in winter. 672. Don't drink any alcohol even if you drive carefully. 673. I go for swimming 1 day a week. 674. You cannot complete your test at this rate of writing progress. 675. What a beautiful way to celebrate an anniversary. 676. Try to explain your point of view, please. 677. The delivery period is approximately 4 months. 678. Good weather is the main ingredient of an enjoyable holiday. 679. Weather here is very unpredictable. 680. A warm current without which it would be much cooler. 681. We require a large land mass to give more settled weather. The PTE Professionals Academy Amargar Punjab. 682. This is earliest that we have had snow for many years. 683. The cost is now very reasonable compared with what it was year or so ago. 684. I am now well into reading the book from cover to cover. 685. I have tried to keep up with the year's event. 686. We all need to relax and unwind even more these days. 687. I hope to work less hours each week for less pay. 688. We are already halfway through the year. 689. It will take a while for everyone to settle down. 690. I have done busy at work again working long days. 691. We have a plan which will be put into action. 692. One piece of good news to come out of this week is a movie. 693. The Winter Olympics are only 2 months away with the start being made on 12th of February. 694. That will give me a lot more leisure time than I have now. 695. Races were held up here until the late 7 days. 696. Things are there on the horizon. 697. We drove the car until the tank ran dry. 698. Evidence suggests that the human brain changes shape in response to the way it is used. 699. He had a sore throat, so I gave him my bottle of water and told him to keep it. 700. Currents work in the same way. Long thin wires have more resistance than do short thick wires. 701. The turning point in our company came with a successful takeover. 702. It was evident that Prince Andrew was not interested in such abstract conversation. 703. Free people establish government to protect their rights. 704. New products are driven not by some central authority but the free market. 705. Sleep came without definition, as did the dream. 706. The crisis is still a pivotal element in any constitutional law course. 707. Her plan was to approach the building from the back parking lot. 708. I thought I would begin with a quote from one of the most famous economists of all time. 709. She felt comfortable enough now to approach that intimate conversation. 710. You should add the remaining laptops into the pile over there. 711. My mom made a milkshake with frozen bananas and chocolate sauce. 712. A true friend never gets in your way unless you happen to be going down. 713. The tree that beside the running water is fresher and gives more fruit. 714. Your mind is stemming with ideas and not just randomly. 715. In order to be happy oneself, it is necessary to make at least one other person happy. 716. To understand this problem, consider our relationship with knowledge over the centuries. 717. With security and comfort came leisure, and the mind of early man. 718. In spite of being a mediocre athlete at best, Dean had thrived on sports. 719. How did you know that I was going to have a peanut butter sandwich for lunch? 720. The hardest arithmetic to master is that which enables us to count our blessings. 721. Handsome faces and corrupt hearts act a large portion of the drama of human life. 722. That boy is so mean that he doesn't care if a door slams in your face or if he cuts in line. 723. The moms and dads all sat around drinking coffee and eating donuts. 724. Faith is the strength by which a shattered world shall emerge into the light. 725. A happy marriage is a long conversation that always seems too short. 726. Are you going to have a blue birthday cake for your next birthday? 727. The research looks at neighborhood cooperative schemes such as community gardens. 728. I went to the dentist the other day and let me pick a prize out of the prize box. 729. For 20 years, I have worked as instructor and a professor in biochemistry and biophysics. 730. In fact, engineering science is an extremely abstract and theoretical science. 731. My contention is that creatively now is as important in education as literacy. 732. My band-aid wasn't sticky anymore, so it fell off on the way to school. 733. Cells are the smallest units of an organism. 734. After all that thinking, talking, and listening, I expect everyone will be a bit weary. 735. The chocolate chip cookies smelled so good that I ate one without asking. 736. Knowledge can be acquired by observing nature and its phenomena. 737. For long, science remained entangled with superstition. 738. Researchers calculate the difference between willful and passive response to stimuli. 739. I complimented him on his brilliant success in the examination. 740. Brand physique goes beyond mere physical brand characteristics. 741. Marxism includes a theory of history with prescriptive prognoses for the future. 742. We often err when it comes to concentration and perception. 743. Blurred visuals come usually when either we are in deep thoughts or otherwise distracted. 744. Each statement or observation needs thorough investigation and verification. 745. Scientific laws demand induction from facts and not deduction from dogmas. 746. The causality theory states that for every effect, there is a cause. 747. When I called his residence in the morning, he was still in bed. 748. The paradox is that the computer is man-made but seems to promise a non-human precision. 749. We need to guard against the onslaught of digitized images and our dependence on them. 750. Brutes joined hands with Cassius and assassinated Caesar. 751. The tendencies and instincts of the reptilian brain are strongest and most primitive. 752. When a person is intimidated, in self-preservation he does everything to save his life. 753. Why is one compelled to react to negative emotions so strongly and irrationally? 754. The strongest of emotions can be overpowered by introspection. 755. Bioremediation methods have been experimented to clear oil spills using bacteria. 756. Monoculture crops are susceptible to pests, and require a lot of pesticide to prevent damage. 757. Detoxification of the contaminated sites is expensive and time-consuming. 758. Self-esteem is a person's subjective appraisal of himself as positive or negative. 759. You need not see him, send an email today itself. 760. There is a special emphasis on research and development of high technologies. 761. Science is knowledge of certain phenomena found under certain conditions. 762. Humans are explorers, and as explorers we like to map our discoveries. 763. If their aspiration are not achieved, they become gloomy. 764. New problems can only be solved by thinking and reaching beyond narrow disciplines. 765. National selection is a very complex phenomenon and has baffled the smartest of brains. 766. Wisdom is knowledge about certain principles and causes. 767. Much of the involuntary muscular movement is necessary for existential survival. 768. Global warming would mean flooded rivers, submerged seacoasts and disruption in agriculture. 769. Living organism adapt to changing environmental conditions. 770. Computers can store complex objects consisting of both data and programming instructions. 771. Storytelling is a common teaching technique in many countries. 772. Folktales are passed orally from generation to generation. The PTE Professionals Academy Amargar Hunjab. 773. Books for children often contain many beautiful illustrations. 774. Generally young children around the world enjoy listening to stories. 775. Most adults need around 8 hours of sleep every night. 776. There is disagreement among researchers about why we dream. 777. It's important that people with responsible jobs get plenty of sleep. 778. Before electric lighting, adults generally slept about 8 or 9 hours per night. 779. Even now scientists still don't know whether animals dream while they sleep. 780. One theory says that dreams help the long-term memory. 781. It isn't certain whether or not other animals dream. 782. During some stages of sleep your eyes move rapidly behind your closed eyelids. 783. Fatigue is a factor in a significant proportion of road accidents. 784. Some of the worst accidents in history have been linked to sleep deprivation. 785. Elephants spend some of their sleeping time standing up and some of it laying down. 786. Exercise isn't so important for survival in modern times. 787. The tallest skyscrapers are known as super-tall skyscrapers. 788. Sleep science is a very active area of research. 789. We do a lot less exercise than our ancestors did. 790. Style is very important in the design of buildings. 791. Scientists still aren't sure why we need to sleep. 792. The biggest health problem in many places is lack of exercise. 793. There must have been some ingenious architects in the past. 794. We know that sleep is essential for normal life. 795. In some countries sporting activities are compulsory even for university students. 796. Despite the engineering difficulties, buildings continue to get taller and taller. 797. Lack of sleep can lead to changes in behavior. 798. Market research surveys may be given by telephone, the internet, or in person. 799. Often the point of advertisements is to raise awareness, rather than give information. 800. It is normal to wake up several times each night. 801. Advertisements have to appeal to people of different ages, socioeconomic groups and sexes. 802. To develop leadership skills, experience is very important. 803. Some species of birds can sleep while they are flying. 804. Adverts might use humor, drama, or catchy slogans to grab people's attention. 805. Becoming a great leader is impossible without enthusiasm. 806. Having a shower before going to bed can help you sleep. 807. Marketing involves many activities including doing research, developing products and promoting them. 808. Sometimes ads promote a brand rather than a particular product. 809. The amount of sleep that adults need doesn't change as they get older. 810. Basically, marketing is about making people want to buy. 811. In most cases, quality products don't need much advertising. 812. Introverts as well as extroverts can be inspiring managers. 813. Communication skills can be taught to anyone willing to learn. 814. Usually but not always, reviews provide an unbiased source of information. 815. Even during leisure time you can hear attempts to persuade or influence. 816. Farmers in Asia will need to produce more rice in order to feed the increasing population. 817. We would use his brushes in new and interesting ways. 818. Surprisingly, some people actually enjoy watching advertisements on television. 819. Nowadays, persuasion is an important area of research within social psychology. 820. In the art gallery's main hall there is a nice sculpture carved from stone. 821. Advertisements are all around us wherever we go, whatever we do. 822. Politicians and marketing professionals have a good understanding of persuasion. 823. Robotics is the science of developing robots. 824. Advertisements can occur in unusual places, even in the sea or in the sky. 825. Robots are common in industry. 826. Some surveys show only subtle differences in happiness between people. 827. Generally, consumers trust friends more than commercial information such as advertisement. 828. An understanding of persuasive techniques should help you recognize their use. Don't forget to say thank you and wishing you all the very best. From PTE Professionals Academy Amargar, contact 7,888,585,596.